one thing that I like to say that I learned from my godmother in church was leadership without headship can turn into a stinking shit. So
Okay.
having a title is one thing, but
Hmm.
being able to make the impact and model what you expect from your players
Hmm.
is a totally different thing.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Please believe it or not, I'm still a cream of the crop. I was just until the age of 18 on the charts. Wasn't even dreaming this far. Believe who you are, the sun doesn't even know it's a star.
Welcome back to Early Retirement, the high school hoops coaching podcast. We're excited about today's guest, so let's jump right in. From Columbia to York, Coach Kerry Glover has built a legacy defined by consistency, culture, and championships. At Columbia High School, where he served as varsity head coach from 2016 to 2024, Coach Glover turned the program into one of the most respected in the Lancaster Lebanon League. A six-time Lancaster Lebanon League Coach of the Year, a five-time LL Hoops Coach of the Year, Glover's leadership elevated Columbia basketball to championship heights year after year. Under his direction, Columbia was a District 3 qualifier for 7 consecutive seasons, capturing District 3 Class 3A championships in 2022 and in 2024. His teams were five-time PIAA state qualifiers, including the historic 2019-2020 section championship, the program's first since 2008, followed by 4 straight section titles from 2021 to 2024. Then, in 2024, Coach Glover took the helm at York High, and the turnaround was immediate. In just his first season, York improved from a 13-8 record to a 19-10 record, finishing second in the York Adams League and qualifying for county, district, and state tournaments, the program's first postseason run in 5 years. Coach Kerry Glover's career is a testament to excellence, resilience, and the power of belief, transforming every program he leads into a contender and every player he coaches into a champion on and off the court. It is my pleasure to welcome Coach Glover to the podcast. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. How about you? How's things going?
I can't complain. This is a great experience, man, and I'm glad to have you on.
Appreciate it. Likewise, I'm happy to be here, bro.
Good. So we're gonna jump right in. You've had success both at a small school like Columbia, and now you're in a big time program like York. Take us back to what led you to make that jump.
Honestly, having the opportunity to come back home. I'm born and raised in York, York High guy. A lot of ties to the community, obviously, family, friends. Started my coaching career in York. So having the opportunity once it presented itself to be able to come back home was something that inspired me. So it was something that I was excited to have the opportunity to do, man. I'm just happy to be back home.
Awesome. So going from a small school to a big school, was there a moment like early on last year when you were like, okay, this is definitely different?
Yeah, being at a 3A school in Columbia was a challenge, but just being honest, there were some situations where you kind of knew walking into some game days, even if you didn't play your best, you could walk out with a win. Coming over to York High last season, bright lights, you can't have any off nights. 6A is a different beast. It's a different issue if you to want to try to tackle. Just understanding that and getting adjusted to that, where they're kids, they're going to have off nights, they're going to have some days, some games where they may not be all the way tapped in mentally and emotionally. And no, but 6A you can't have that. Like you're expected to be on your A game at all times, and you have to be.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Before we move on to the next segment, I do want to give a quick plug to our sponsor for today's episode, which is My Jersey. If you ever want more information about My Jersey, go to myjerseydesigns.com and they'll definitely take care of you. All right.
I was gonna say they do some good work. I've used them several seasons when I was at Columbia for my son's senior year, and I also used them last year at York High for my senior group there. Do some
Nice.
really good work.
For sure. Yeah. And I've used them every year
Yeah.
for our senior gift. So we're all both on the same page.
Right.
Getting back into going from small school to big, at Columbia, you built something special in that smaller environment. And so like now being at York High, the program is much bigger, obviously. How did you approach building the coaching from day one?
Honestly, trying to get tapped in with all the players, trying to make sure that those guys are aware of my expectations and the expectations that we have for the program, not just on the court, but how we carry ourselves in the community, how we carry ourselves on a daily basis in school, how we communicate with one another, our opponents, the opposing coaches, the fans, the officials, the whole nine. Like that was something that I'm real big on. It's something I always tell my guys, like throughout my entire career as a coach on the school side, I've never received a technical foul. And that's something for me I take pride in because if I'm always going off and as the players say, if I'm crashing out all the time, how can I not expect my players to follow up and, just repeat those same type of behaviors. So I take pride in things like that. And for me, that was huge. Obviously, there's a difference in the community aspect of things, where Columbia is small, close knit. Everybody's right on top of each other. A lot of daily interactions with fans and local business owners. Then transition over to York High, and you may not see anyone until game day. You hear about it. You're definitely going to hear the barbershop talk, the conversation, but in regards to seeing people on a regular basis, you really don't have that interaction.
Before I ask you this question, I must concur, and I appreciate the fact that you haven't gotten a technical foul. I coached 10 seasons and 0 for me too. And I feel like, and this is no shade at anybody who's ever got one because there's different reasons why those things happen.
Right.
But I think that being the example is never a bad thing. And so if you're not crashing out, then your players don't have a reason to do that. So
Right.
cool. Back to, you connecting with the players at a bigger environment. The buy-in though, there's so many more voices. There's more voices, there's more players, there's more parents. How do you get the buy-in from all of those people?
I would say for me, I just try to focus on my rapport with the players.
Okay.
That's huge for me. Again, they know my expectations and their kids. They may have parents or older family members. Heck, even falling in love with articles and headlines from the media can make players stray away at different points of the season. But that was something that I haven't had to worry about. It hasn't been a huge disruption or distraction to what we're focusing on building because there's that understanding, that respect, and like I said, that rapport that's there. The guys know I'm willing to do whatever I possibly can for them on and off the court. So then they return the favor, and that's been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, that's awesome. This connection building that you obviously have to do with so many moving parts. Do you rely more on your captains or your assistant coaches to help with that connection building?
I would say it's a mixture of both. Because we have some strong-willed kids, and that could be guy one or guy 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what they know. So I don't want to take away those leadership attributes. I just try to make them understand or help them understand that even though you have these leadership qualities, your role on the team isn't to be the alpha. Everybody can't be the alpha.
Correct.
And that's what a lot of kids get confused and struggle with in today's game because everybody wants to be the alpha. They may be the alpha on their AAU team, or they haven't had the opportunity to be the alpha for their AAU program. They may be guy two or guy three, so they're dead set on when they return to their school team for the winter time, I'm going to be the man. And it's like, slow down a little bit, young fella. Calm down. Those are some things I just try to focus on.
Cool. Moving into the competition side of the differences, what are the biggest adjustments that you've had to make preparing for opponents from coaching at a school like Columbia compared to coaching at a school like York High?
The depth of each team, the roster depth. At Columbia, every team had two or three guys that could really play, one or two guys that were decent. You had to respect them. and then some other guys that were, filling out rosters. And that's no slight to any of my opponents that I had on the schedule in the past while I was coaching at Columbia, because the reality of it is some of my Columbia teams were built the same way. It's just the nature of the beast at a small school.
Right.
Um, York High, 6A opponents, again, can't take a night off. And when you have two or three guys at the smaller school, you got four or five guys that are really, really good. Then you might have another two or three who are really, really good. They're just at a school with some upperclassmen in front of them who are just good.
Right.
But they could go elsewhere to any other school in the area and be a starter. That makes things a little different because now, guy 6, guy 7, guy 8 off the bench, it can do multiple things,
Right.
and you can't just try to key on one or two guys. So game planning from a strategic standpoint in that way are definitely some things that had to get adjusted to.
As we were, trying to talk through some of these ideas conceptually, it is never to, say that there's a difference between 3A and 6A from the perspective of like there's good basketball players everywhere. But
Yes, indeed.
the one example I could think of is, well, one year at Central Dauphin say school, we had 10 dudes, like 5 guys coming off the bench that could start somewhere else. 2 of which are playing in the PSAC right now, and they
Mhm.
didn't start on our high school team. And at the 3A level, that is very unlikely. And I
Right.
don't know, I mean, in my time, I've only been in this area since 2010, but outside of a school like Trinity, Trinity is different. But
Right.
outside of school like that, that is just a juggernaut, so to speak. Those things aren't happening at the 3A level. So, like, that's the difference that an example that I wanted to give. So the people who are watching aren't like, hey, man, like, y'all trying to, like, we throwing shade. Like, no, we're not. We're actually, that depth thing is real, and
Definitely.
I could feel that because I lived that too. And adjusting to that is something that anybody out there that is looking to make a change like that, you really have to consider that.
It's definitely key, man. For me, I go back to 2022 season, which was my son's senior year. I
Yep.
had a really good trio of guards with some experience with him. Another player was Robert Footman, who went to Millersville and is now at Lock Haven playing quarterback there. And the other guard was Javon Colazzo. Like those guys were really good.
Mhm.
We go up against Devin Prep, second round of states, and we have an 8-point lead at halftime, and then Javon gets hurt. He gets hurt, and he's out from the middle of the third quarter to the end of the game. We end up losing that game by 3 points.
Mhm.
Devin Prep goes on to win the state championship. At a big school, I can find someone else who can handle pressure and be able to give us a little bit of, some help offensively.
Mhm.
Whereas at Columbia, I had some guards, some younger guards who came in and did a heck of a job,
Mhm.
but their moment was just a little too big for
Big.
them at that point of their careers.
Got it.
6A school, you got somebody who's been waiting for that moment all season long,
That's right.
sometimes hoping their moment happens so
Yeah.
they can have their opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're talking about these environments, which are very big. And so at York High now, is there more pressure from the community, the media, the school itself?
I honestly think for myself, there's no pressure.
Okay.
I'll say that. Yeah, there's no pressure for me. I've been in so many different hectic environments, and I have the luxury of having so much experience in terms of school level and AAU level to where like I'm not going to feel any pressure walking into any gym or playing anybody, having them come into our gym from, expectations from our fans and what have you. That stuff doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Um, because the only opinions I care about are the opinions of my family when I go home at night
Yeah.
and my players who I'm on that journey with on a daily basis.
Yes.
For my
Yes.
players, I would say they have a certain level of pressure that they place on themselves.
Okay.
Last year was some pressure. New coaching staff, turnover of players, one guy with true varsity experience, not just dressing, but at playing starting playing meaningful minutes. So a lot of guys, they felt pressure, not just trying to get adjusted to what it's like to be a Bearcat and hearing things from, people in the stands and seeing stuff on social media. This is what needs to happen. This is, what isn't happening. We need to win, win, win. But now the players are like, we expect to be in consideration for any title,
Right.
division, county, district, state. Like, this is what we want. This is what we work for. If it doesn't happen, we're going out swinging.
Got it. Got it. That's awesome. You were talking about the depth of just the 6A monster in itself. How has the depth at your school changed how you structured practices or even game rotations?
That's where it gets a little tricky because you want to give everybody their just due to stay. But on the flip side, the reality of it is there's some moments everybody isn't ready for. I have a lot of kids who are skilled, um, but they don't have experience.
Okay.
So there's some moments that early on in the season they may not be ready to help us in the heated moments of a game. So for me, it's been big trying to get these guys to understand that, hey, quarter four is different than quarter number one, and I'm trying to help you grow so I can allow you to play through a certain mistake in quarter one. But in the fourth quarter, that leash is a little shorter.
Yes.
So you have to understand that. And this is exactly why. So for me, that was the biggest thing because everybody wants to play.
Right.
It's your
right.
Kai, 6A school. In today's game, doesn't matter if you're single A or 6A. Everybody has a videographer. Everyone is a videographer. So there's always somebody at the games. Games you never even imagine. You travel an hour and a half. Next thing you know, there's somebody there that wants to do film and make a highlight tapes. Everybody wants to be a part of those moments, but it's just like I tell guys on the AAU side of things. Yeah, getting exposure is great. It's awesome. One moment, one viral moment, one good highlight film can change your path, your trajectory, and help you receive a free education at the collegiate level. But you can also be exposed. So there's exposure, and then you can be exposed. So I try to make sure that guys understand that there's a fine line between the two. You don't want to chase it too hard or ask for it too hard and be thrown into a moment where you're not ready because kids these days are different than how we grew up. I'm 42. I'm from a different, I'm an 80s baby. So, so a lot of kids don't have the mental toughness and one bad game or even a decent game or a good game, they just have one moment that doesn't look good and now everybody's blaming them for a loss. And I've seen a lot of kids struggle with trying to recover from a situation like that.
Yeah. Before I move on to the next question, they live in a different world. And so when we grew up, and I'm a little older than you, I'm 50. So I'm really an 80s baby, but 70s too. But if we had a bad game or, something happened, we got away from it because it wasn't playing on the real 24 hours a day. And so not making excuses for the young people, but there are some things that they have to contend with that we don't. And that's why it's so important to understand what the journey is and just to be locked in on that. And while we all can appreciate people that want to document the games and things like that, that is not the priority when it comes to this journey. So, and that's what I'm hearing from you. And I want to make sure that I make that clear because I get to sit on the outside now. And I know how much some of those things could kind of cause players to kind of lose focus on what's most important. But with that being said, talking about growth and being in this bigger environment, has the change caused you to grow more as a strategist or more as a leader, you think?
I would say more as a leader. Just the overall responsibility in sheer numbers alone makes me work harder. Like having tryouts and there's 18, 19 kids total to 40, 50 kids at open gyms before we even have trials, before football season ends, is something that you have to get adjusted to. You have to get used to. And again, I always go back to being heavily experienced on the AAU scene, having tryouts where everybody wants their kids to play, and you got 56th graders and 40 graders and 48th graders. And it's like, hey, we're only making one team. Sometimes you make two, but there's still 20 plus kids that you got to let go.
Right.
Being in those situations definitely helped prepare me
Hmm.
for being coaching at the larger school.
Yep.
But it's still different because AAU, you can just say, hey, I got cut. I didn't make it for the York Ballers. Let me go try out for whoever else. School level, you don't, it's it. You don't make it, you don't make it. So it's definitely tough.
You talked about all of those levels, the middle school age, high school age, which obviously at a bigger school, there's way more people involved. How do you keep alignment across all of those levels? Freshman, JV, varsity, and even you could speak to the junior high level too. Like, how do you keep all of the ducks in a row?
So what I do is I make sure that my freshman coach,
Mhm.
who Coach Proctor, Coach Gerald Proctor, he's been there for years.
Okay.
He's been there for over a decade, and he's like a permanent fixture in the York High basketball community. Like all the kids know him. He we previously worked together back in 2006 in the alternative schools for the district. Then he was a hall monitor in the district for years, and then started coaching. Now he's one of the guys on the building and grounds maintenance crew. So all the kids at all the buildings know him because he frequents every building in the district.
Mhm.
So everybody knows him. He's the announcer during football season and during basketball season for the varsity games. So like everybody knows him.
Mhm.
He does an awesome job. So having him stay around after I came on board last season
Mhm.
to continue to be the freshman head coach and oversee the junior high school program and running open gyms down at that level was key. There were a couple things that he had to get adjusted to because, what we do offensively and defensively is a little different than the leadership prior to us. So there were some things that like I wanted to make sure it trickled down to the junior high and freshman level. That way, terminology and the understanding and the expectations of what we're doing at the high school level, it was, a smoother transition and not starting from scratch once we got kids up at our level. So that was huge. That was huge for me.
You said leadership a lot. And my question is, what did you learn about leadership that only came from managing a bigger operation, that only came from going there?
Being patient and having a clear mind. One thing that I like to say that I learned from my godmother in church was leadership without headship can turn into a sinking ship. So having a title is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but being able to make the impact and model what you expect from your players is a totally different thing. And so just having the opportunity to do that was something that I value, and I hold that with high self-esteem and making sure that I make the most out of that opportunity.
Man, that's great. You said something earlier that I want to circle back to. At a small school, the basketball team is often like that's the town, like the school is that's the fabric. How does the community connection feel different now at York High?
Just space. Everything's so spaced out.
Okay.
Everything's
Yeah.
so spaced out. Again, you don't have those daily interactions. When I was
Hmm.
at Columbia, I couldn't go to the car wash or go to the dollar store or go to the grocery store without running into someone who donates to the program in one way or another. They come to every game. They've been a fan for 30, 40, 50 years, and they want to give you the rundown of the state championship team, and they want to talk about the Columbia greats like Mike Whistler and different players. When I'm just trying to buy some eggs and milk. Like it's just that's the reality, and you love it. Some of them are they're a little they can go a little overboard, but it comes from a good place. So I always give them the opportunity to be heard, and I engage in those conversations with them to make them know that they're not just being dismissed
Mm-hmm.
and they're being respected. And the flip side is I'm obviously, like I said, born and raised in York
Mm-hmm.
and have a lot of ties to the community and very well known amongst the community. But if I don't want to be seen, I won't be seen.
Got
Like
it.
I can go to there's Walmart and there's Giant, there's Wise, and there's one of each on east side of town and the west. So I don't have to worry about running into one grocery store and seeing 5 or 10 people when again I'm just trying to be in and out and it turns into an hour trip because I got stopped 4 or 5 times. I can just go handle my business and head back home. When I'm in New York, I don't have to worry about getting sidetracked when I just have a small mission to complete for myself personally.
I totally get that. I joke because I teach at the school where I coached at, and the kids, they never see me. And I'm like, yeah, that's on purpose. And listen, this like first world problems, like, known in the community and where people want to have a conversation with you. Like, that's great.
Right,
But sometimes I just want to get something from the store. And if I go at the wrong time, that might not
right,
happen. So
right,
I
right.
definitely could dig that. It's crazy because I'm not coaching anymore and I still keep my same schedule. Like I'm going out at certain times and that's it. So maybe that'll
Right.
change. I don't know. Obviously, the pride, the connection to the community at Columbia was very apparent. How do you get the people in the York High community to feel that same sense of pride in the school?
That's a good question. I would say honestly, the pride has never went away for
Okay.
York High basketball because it's such a rich tradition. A lot of great teams over the years, a lot of great players, and a lot of great coaches. So I would say the pride has never left.
Mhm.
The understanding of the realistic performance level and the realistic goals compared to the expected goals is it was something that I'm working hard to make people understand. Because again, I always say it, you can be a fan or you can be a fanatic. Fans understand that no matter who you are, no matter the program, no matter the coach, there will be some times that are considered down. That's that's the nature of the beast. That's
Yes.
the game that players play and that we coach. There's state championship teams, and 5 years later, they're barely making their district playoff. That's just it comes in waves, and when you have it, you have it. When you don't, you don't. What I'm trying to build is nothing that's too high or too low. Something that gives you a consistent quality product year in and year out.
Yeah.
That's what I want to build. The fanatics don't care. I experienced that at Columbia. I experience it currently at York High. The fanatics don't care. They don't want to hear about a kid getting injured. They don't want to hear about a kid transferring. They don't want to hear about a kid having an issue in their personal life at home and might have been in school all day off of 2 hours of sleep. They want wins, and they want wins every single time you step on the floor, no questions asked. And that's not the reality that we live in.
Yeah.
Just separating the two and understanding the difference is huge.
You talked about the fanatics in both places, and so moving into the idea, you've been at a small school, now you've been at a big school. What's the one thing you miss most about coaching at a small school, and what is one thing you wouldn't trade now that you're at a big school like York High?
One thing that I miss most about the small school is that community environment. Going to the Giant Center for our district championship game opportunities that we had, and you get the police and the fire escort all throughout town, and the community members, the business owners are standing out front, and they got their signs and their loud horns and everything else, like cheering you on as you go through town. I've seen some places do that, but only after the win. They're doing it before the game and after the game.
Right.
And obviously it's really different after the game when you win. And to see people stand outside, and we know we're talking February, right? Not the best weather in the beginning of February. To see people standing outside lined along the street to cheer you on when you're coming back, and seeing the players putting the bus windows down and hanging their medals out of the window, or if we're on a charter bus, they just turn all the lights on so people can see inside the windows as you're riding by, and players are going crazy, and fans, the community, everybody's going crazy. Like, there's nothing more special than that. That is why Columbia will always hold a special place in my heart. Obviously, it was my first opportunity as a head varsity coach, but the community support that we received as a program year in and year out was second to none.
That's awesome. Before I follow up with the which you wouldn't trade, I got to tell you, my first year coaching at Camp Hill made it to, it was the district semi. So it was just the district semis, but we were playing at the Giant Center. Giant Center. So this was a few years back when they were still doing that. And I remember like the whole school was there, and it's a small school, but like when there is that type of connection, when everybody just stops what they're doing, that is so awesome. And as much as the CD fans, the kids, the community, it's been great, and the number of people is way more. There's something different about every single person being
Yes.
connected to what you're doing on a particular night. So I
Yeah.
felt that. And like
Yeah.
I felt as you're talking, like I'm getting like teary eyed because I'm like, man, that's cool. But you know, the second part of the question is, now that you're at your cop, what is something you wouldn't trade now that you're there?
So, talking about the community and things of that nature from the small school level, people really don't realize how special that is when almost the entire school is shut down because they're at the Giant Center to watch you play.
Mhm.
You may not have that at the big school level, but having the opportunity to be at York High and impact more young men, impact more lives, and help keep and steer more student athletes away from the wrong path and keeping them focused on what their goals and their dreams are, is something I wouldn't give up. Again, Columbia, that's where my mother is from. My entire mom's side of the family tree is from. So it's always been second home. Spending time there growing up from the time I was born, even until now. I work in, that's where I work at. I work at the high school as the school safety officer. So like I'm there every day on a daily basis still. But York is home. It's, where I was born and raised, and having the opportunity to go back there and again make that impact and build those relationships to guys who are going to be the ones that are going to impact and lead the next generation is, for me, that's the key. Like, people like to look at right now, what's right in front of them. And that's a lot of times that's all our young men see.
Mhm.
For me, I'm like, okay, how can I show to these guys? How can I model to these guys these certain behaviors and ways to carry yourself? Because I know my impact isn't going to be right now. It's going to be the next generation because I'm impacting the leaders. I'm teaching the leaders of that school, of that class. Now I can sit back and say, okay, I didn't win states. I didn't win districts. I didn't win counties. I didn't win a million games. So the fanatics won't understand that. But cool, because this kid is now a teacher. This kid is now a police officer. This kid is a successful entrepreneur. And I know some of that stem from conversations that we had while we were finishing practice or on the team bus or in the locker room. Those are the things that I'm looking for. And I was fortunate to be able to have that impact in the Columbia community. Even today, one of my former players who graduated a couple years ago was home for a few days. He's at the service and doing some awesome things for himself. But seeing that, and he's like, Coach, I appreciate everything you did. Kid never started for me, still senior night. But he was in the program every year, and he was a amazing kid, and more importantly, he was one of the best listeners. So that helped him. So now me being able to do those same things in my home community, but again, on a larger scale because there's more numbers to impact. There's guys who got cut at tryouts last year that were impacted and they thanked me. Unfortunately, it's going to be some guys will get cut from tryouts and from the program when tryouts start, but I always try to find ways to keep them around, and I always stay in contact with them to help them continue to grow as a player, but even more importantly, as a young man.
This basketball thing is the vehicle to be able to create the journey for these young men. It's just great to hear you have this perspective because it pays dividends down the road, right? It's not
Yes.
about right now. It's about what this can do to help prepare you for the rest of your life. So amazing, amazing. Now, a young coach, they're listening. They're wondering, can I make the same kind of jump? I want to go from a small school to a big school. What kind of advice would you give them?
Study the game, study who your goats are in terms of coaching, study your opponent. One thing that I did was I looked at everybody in the 6A field across the state before I got the job and two or three more times after I got the job. And everybody may not be a film guy like I am. I love film. I don't care if it's game 1 of the season or game 22 of the season. I'm watching 5 to 6 games of film on every single opponent. And a lot of times I'm watching teams that we don't play in different classification. I know we won't play them in districts. I know we won't play them in states. We may never play them, but I'm watching to see, okay, how can I continue to stay sharp? How can I continue? I know the program that you was building at Central Dauphin, and I'm at Columbia. I know I'm not playing Central Dauphin, but best believe there were games that I watched, and I'm like, okay. Sometimes it was just to see certain players to see how they're progressing, see how they're doing. Other times it was, man, they rocking and rolling over there. Let me see what's going on. See if it's something. It's a copycat. It's a copycat game.
Yes.
Let me see if it's something I can learn a little different and implement with the cast that I have. So those are that was key for me. So I would definitely say that's something that any young coach looking to make that jump should definitely do. And more importantly, have the confidence to believe in themselves, to believe that they belong. Because I'm never one of those guys to say I got so and so off to college. That's not how I carry myself. I've been blessed. I've been fortunate to be a part of many, many, many student athletes' journeys, and some of those guys were fortunate to go to college for free from this game of basketball, and others did not go for free, but they still went at the JUCO level, Division 3 level, and what have you, to still continue to play the game. And I've just been blessed to be a small part of those guys' journey. But I will say that having the opportunity to be in those conversations and be amongst those players was something that continued to push me and keep a fire under me. But I'm also not blind or deaf to some of the things that are said in conversation that are being held. He's just an AAU guy. Oh, anybody can get a kid to college in the AAU. You can handpick their talent. Then I go to Columbia and it's They're a small school. They're not really playing anybody but 3 or 4 times a year. So what I did was I changed that after my first couple of years. Okay, I'm coming in. The schedule is what it is. I can't help that. But now we're playing York High. We had York High on the regular season schedule. We're playing other schools from around the Mid Penn, the LL, and the York Adams League. Like, okay, now what can you say? They're only good in their section. And I say, okay, look at my section. Did you see what Lancaster Mennonite has done the last couple of years at the district and state level? Then they say, oh, well, it's only two good teams in your section. I say, okay, well, now we go to three district championship games in 4 seasons, and we win two of them. One that we lost was COVID season, and it is what it is. I came up short, but I tell people all the time, I'm undefeated at the Giant Center.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So then,
Yeah.
so then now it's okay. Can he do it at a late hire, no off season, hired 4.5 weeks before tryouts? We make it to our county title game, lose by 8 to Central York. We qualify for districts. We qualify for state. For me, I believe in myself.
Yes.
No matter what's thrown in front of me. I may not be the best. I may not be the coach that everybody likes. I'm okay with that. Long as my players like me. Long as my players believe in me, I'm okay with any comment or opinion from anybody else. And you have to have some thick, tough skin to be able to stay sane in today's basketball world. So for you young coaches, believe in yourself, put in the work. That way, no matter who you stand in front of, who you're coaching against, who was in the crowd screaming insane things towards you when they don't like a substitution you made or you come up short and you lose a game against a rival opponent, believe in yourself and don't let anybody knock you off your square.
I love it, man. You said study, which yes, you need to really be a student of the game at every level. And like I said, like I don't reinvent the wheel. Everything I've ever done, I probably learned it from somebody else. Cause then when the playbook and all of that stuff is squared away, then when you are confident about everything else, it allows you, like you did, it allows you to be like, all right, cool. I'm gonna change my schedule and I'm gonna do these things. And I hear you because I lived some of that too. And it's not even really about the people. It's the challenge. I'm going to challenge myself. I want to do it for me because no matter what I do, there's fanatics out there and I'm never going to please them, but that's not why I'm doing this. And so all of this super powerful. Thank you, young coaches and not young coaches, people that are just navigating this new world because it is different. This is good stuff. So coach, I thank you for sharing not just X's and O's, but the lessons that connect every level of the game. But before we get you out of here, we got to make sure that people hit the subscribe and like button. Hopefully they've subscribed by now. So hit the like button on this. So when Coach Glover come back, people, they listened and they liked it. SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts. That's where all of this is going to be out. Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook is the social media platforms that the Early Retirement podcast is going to be on. Coach Glover did say something about tryouts and making cuts. By the time y'all see this, it's already happened. So I apologize. We've been trying to, get some good people on here and we got to roll them out. And when you see this, it'll still be fantastic because this was great. And Coach Glover, again, thank you for sitting down with me and being able to do this. Any last words for the people?
I just want to say thank you, man. I appreciate you. Always been good, always been genuine, always been real, and I appreciate that. Again, in today's basketball community, good, genuine, authentic people are hard to come by. So when you do make that connection, I respect it. I value it. What you're doing, carrying the torch and keeping it going is awesome and it's definitely needed. It's fresh, it's real, and nothing is scripted. Like none of this was scripted, questions on the fly. And, I gave you guys the real from me and I hope you all appreciate it and go Bearcats.
All right. Well, We're going to let the people go. Thanks again. Keep supporting the channel. Keep supporting the podcast, and we'll keep doing this. Have a great day.